Oh, yeah.
What's on my phone that has Kofuzi cracking a smile? Let's just say it's a blast from the past, and it couldn't come at a better time. Because this is that season when a lot of us start thinking about how to better ourselves. You know, new year, new you, and resolutions and all that business. But I think a lot of us understand that that stuff usually doesn't work. But what does work is the kind of transformation that Kofuzi has had. And it just happens to be incredibly interesting too. So let's dive back into the conversation.
You've certainly seen this before, but, well, I'll just play it for you. We can just talk for a second. All right, so.
Oh, yeah. There's an old one.
So, a long time ago, quite a while ago, I guess it was probably the late 90s, I had a GeoCities page. I think a lot of people did back then. But I was pretty proud of that thing. It was ugly, and it was exactly like every other GeoCities page was at the time. Then, in the 2000s, I started blogging. And I really got into that. I was posting stuff every day, multiple times a day. I really enjoyed that a lot. It was a nice kind of creative release. I've been avoiding talking to the camera. One, because it just seems a little bit weird. But the other thing being, I don't particularly like the word vlog. I think it's a terrible word. It's a silly word. But I guess that describes what I'm doing here.
So this was your first time speaking to the camera in a vlog.
Yeah.
And this, I think, was in 2016, February 2016.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, when I look at this video, like, to me, that's a different guy. And not just, like, physically.
Right.
But it just seems like a different person. Do you feel like a different person than this guy or no?
No, I still feel like the same person there. I just have, I mean, like, my kind of, like, normal is really different now.
Physically, you obviously have changed a lot from in this video.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about that. I mean, I look at this video, I'm like, oh, this is like a regular, you know, guy. This is like, you know, a regular dad who loves gadgets and whatever.
Yeah.
I see your videos now, I'm like, wow, this guy is like a machine.
Yeah.
So how did you go from like regular dad to machine? Talk about that process.
Yeah, I mean, back then in like 2016, I had some vertigo. And it was, the doctors couldn't like figure out exactly what it was. And so I was seeing a bunch of different specialists, and it came to the point where it was just kind of like, you know, you're gonna have to kind of figure out how to live with it, or you could take like a bunch of Dramamine all the time. And I'm like, Dramamine makes me like super, like just ineffective. I couldn't do anything all day on that. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I kind of have to figure out how to live with this. And eventually at that point, you know, like sometimes, a lot of times it would be like, something just like standing up sometimes would do it. Sometimes going from inside to outside in the winter would do it. It didn't always happen, so it was kind of unpredictable. And exercise seemed like a really dangerous thing to do. But after a while, I was just like, well, I guess I got to figure out how to, if I get dizzy while I'm exercising, we'll stop, wait till the dizzy passes, and then kind of figure the rest out from there. So I kind of started doing that. I got on like a divvy bike with like the city bikes that you have here, and commuting that way and doing a little bit of running. And then my buddy from law school, who I ran Chicago with, was like, hey, you used to run a lot, right? Do you want to do a 10-mile race? You know, and that kind of like rekindled things. And, you know, I had done some diet changes. And so I started running more, started changing the way I eat, and put those things together, and I felt good. And so the motivation was like, hey, I haven't been getting dizzy as much lately. I don't know if it's the diet. I don't know if it's coincidence. I don't know if it's the running. But whatever it is, I'm not touching anything. Don't touch anything. It's like the table is standing on its own. Even though it looks wobbly, it's working. So let's keep that. And I just kept it. And so like the motivation was I don't want to be dizzy again. And so even though the running wasn't always great in the beginning, and I did have to stop a lot because I was getting dizzy and stuff, but that got lesser and lesser. And so like maintaining the way I was eating, which isn't always the healthiest, but it's not a lot of meat, was easy because it made me feel good, you know, and the running was continuing doing that was easy because it made me feel good. And then at some point, I don't remember exactly when it was, I was on a run and I go, oh, I like the running for the running now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had been running since middle school on like, you know, middle school track team, high school cross country team. I pole vaulted in college for a very short time. You know, I ran my first marathon in 2010. But running has always been like that thing that you do so you could do something else.
Right.
Or so you could say you did a marathon, you know, those kinds of things. I never had really enjoyed the running for running. But after a while of consistency, it just like clicked one day that like, oh, the running itself is fun.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this. And so at that point, like what had become a habit now became like a passion. So you kind of like hit like another, it's like, you know, one level of rocket boosters goes and then the next kicks in. Like, so that's how it kind of just changed for me. And that's how I got to where I am. I'm just following, like, how do I make myself feel energetic? Not like feel good and like, oh, I want to feel good. I get that too, like after the run, the runner's high.
Sure.
But I get the, like, when I wake up in the morning and I feel good. When it's the end of the day and I feel good. Just feeling balanced, feeling happier, feeling not like I'm so, like, lethargic all the time. Like, I'm chasing that. I want to maintain that. I don't want to go back to kind of that other way where I just felt like I wasn't keeping up with things.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's it's been for me, is to just like keep going after like it feels like I'm just going downhill the whole way. Just keep, the path is leading me on its own and I'm just following along.
Like, how much weight have you lost, like, in this journey?
Yeah, so I think in that video that you showed me, I was probably not at my absolute heaviest, because I think at that point I'd already been doing a little bit of running and a little bit of getting back on the bike. But I think at my heaviest I was probably a little bit over 180, and now I'm at a little bit over 140. Usually I'm hovering between like 143, 146, 147, depending on if I'm, you know, actively training or not. And so it's about 40 pounds.
No, that's huge.
A lot of that happened in like a 20-month period. And in my previous work, you know, I had clients that I would see, you know, really intensely on consulting projects for like a month straight. Like we'd be together like every day, all day, every day. And then I won't see them for like a year. So then I would see them again like a year, 14 months, 60 months later, and they'd be like, what happened to you? You know? And so it was quite a change in a very quick amount of time. And then since then, I've been pretty much at this weight for, I think, probably about 2 years.
And I've heard you say in previous videos that it's not something that you've intentionally tried. You haven't gone out to try and lose weight. It just happened.
Right. Yeah, and so kind of along the lines of like, you know, chasing those things that help me feel good during the day, like changing that diet and losing the weight was something that like happened as of chasing those things that help me feel good during the day. So like wanting to have a good long run Saturday, it meant maybe holding back on 1 or 2 rounds on Friday night, you know, and maybe thinking a little bit more about what am I eating during the day on Saturday, you know, if I want to have a good run on Sunday, that kind of thing. And so I found myself thinking about, you know, how is the food fueling the other activities that I want to do during the day, and thinking like, well, like, it doesn't mean I can't go out, it doesn't mean I can't have a round of drinks with my friends, but it just means like, well, I'm not going there because I want to drink the drinks. That's enjoyable, but I want to be with my friends.
Yeah.
So I can still be with my friends, but maybe just, you know, substitute a water in every once in a while, you know, or maybe have a soda, which I normally don't drink, but like, all right, well, you know, in terms of like lesser of two evils, maybe I'll do that one. So like those subtle switches that allowed me to feel better on Saturday morning, on Sunday morning, you know, kind of started a cascade of better behaviors, you know, and so that is really what happened. I just started picking things that would make me feel good, and that ended up with me and my body like finding like a kind of like a size and shape that fit the lifestyle, right? And so like I lived the lifestyle I wanted, and then the body followed, is kind of like how I saw it, rather than like trying to change the body to match your lifestyle. It was just kind of like, I feel like people have it backwards, you know, and so like just do the things that you want to, that enable you to do those activities that you want, and then you'll make the right decisions.
Now, you didn't hear him say it there, but Kofuzi has also gotten a lot faster, cutting like 2 hours from his marathon PR. So how did he do it? What's his secret sauce? We're talking marathons, mileage, maffetone, and more, coming soon.